Welcome to the deep dive. We really dig into topics to pull out the key insights for you. And today, well, we're stepping into something I think many of us can relate to, especially if you've, clocked up a few miles yourself. It's about the reality of traveling on foot when we get a bit older.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we've been looking at a really fantastic blog post. It's called Traveling on Tired Feet, The Art of Wandering Gracefully Wanderlust Over 70. And it's written by someone who's actually out there doing it. It's not just theory. They're giving us that sort of distilled wisdom that only comes from years, decades really, of exploring, especially after 70.
Yeah, and that's exactly why it grabbed me. So our goal today isn't just to read you the blog post.
Right.
We want to pull out the really practical stuff, the relatable bits about how our feet, affect our travel as we age. Think of it as maybe a shortcut to figuring out how to keep exploring, but comfortably.
Good way to put it.
So where do we start? Let's maybe begin with this whole idea that our feet actually change.
Yeah, that's key. And what's really insightful is how the author pinpoints Lisbon as the place where this really hit home for them.
Ah, Lisbon.
Yeah, lovely city, but, all those hills. And the cobblestones everywhere.
Oh, I know.
It's just such a contrast to how maybe you remember traveling when you were younger with feet that didn't complain so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real wake-up call that things are a bit different now.
Totally. I can almost feel those cobblestones just thinking about it. And the post does a great job laying out some of those, common changes people notice, right? Like the creaky joints making themselves known.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your arches aren't quite what they were, skin gets drier, and then there's swelling, maybe bunions popping up, or just those general aches after a flight or a long day.
Yeah, it's like our feet start talking to us in a slightly different language.
Mm.
And if you think about why, the natural wear and tear on joints over decades, maybe tendons weakening so arches droop a bit, it really underlines why we need a different approach.
Right.
Which leads straight into something really interesting the author points out about shoes.
Oh, yeah. What was that? It was about priorities changing, wasn't it?
Exactly that. They talk about how maybe back in the day, style was, the number one thing for travel shoes.
Guilty.
Huh?
Yeah.
But now, comfort is absolutely paramount. It's that kind of wisdom you only really get through, probably a few painful blisters or aching feet along the way.
I think there was a line in there about how comfortable shoes used to be what their mother wore, and now they totally get it.
Yeah.
It just highlights that for older travelers, good foot care, comfortable shoes, it's not a luxury, is it? It's fundamental if you want to actually enjoy those trips you've planned.
Absolutely fundamental.
Yeah.
Which brings us to thinking about just how vital our feet are. Beyond just getting from A to B, how much do they add to the actual travel experience?
It's funny, you almost take them for granted, don't you? But when you stop and think, just navigating airports involves so much walking.
Oh, miles sometimes.
Yeah, right. And tackling stairs in old buildings or ruins or just strolling along a beach, and maybe most importantly, being able to just wander off the beaten path, find those little hidden spots you'd miss completely on a bus tour. Our feet are how we engage with a place.
The blog post captures this so well with some really relatable stories. Funny, too, sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like dealing with shin splints in Paris, of all places.
Oh, no!
Or getting unexpectedly sunburned toes in the Cook Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And that classic travel nightmare, your sandal just falling apart in Athens.
Been there. Well, almost.
Right. These things happen. And it just, underscores needing a bit of preparation, maybe that backup pair, and definitely a sense of humor.
That backup pair advice is gold.
Yeah.
So simple, but it could save a whole day or more. But the author also does a lovely job balancing that with the simple joys, the things you experience through your feet, like dangling them off a pier somewhere like Stockholm, feeling that cool marble underfoot in Rome, or just, wiggling your toes in the sand or on the cobblestones in a new square. Those little sensory things really ground you.
They do. Mm-hmm. And what's really useful about the blog is how it moves from, okay, here are the challenges, to providing actual practical ways to manage them. It's not just identifying problems, it's offering solutions.
Exactly. So let's get into those tips. The first one I liked was the phrase, shoes that love you back. What's behind that?
Well, it's really about choosing shoes that are already broken in. That's key.
Right. No new shoes for a big walking trip.
Definitely not. And making sure they have good support, arch support, ankle support shoes really designed for walking. The author swears by good insoles, too, says they make a huge difference.
Okay.
And then there's the mention of merino wool blend socks. and specifically compression socks for flights. That's about understanding the specific stresses of travel. Compression socks help with circulation, which is great when you're sitting for ages and can really cut down on swelling.
Okay, that makes sense. It explains the why. And then there's the advice to listen to your feet. Seems obvious, but like you say, it's easy to ignore when you're excited about a new place. What are we listening for?
That's a good point. I mean, throbbing pain is pretty hard to miss.
Yeah.
But it could be more subtle things too, like a persistent ache that doesn't quite go away, or maybe your feet feel unusually hot or look a bit red, even just that deep fatigue in your feet. The author suggests that when you feel these things, just stop, find a cafe, sit down, watch the world go by. It's brilliant advice, really.
Yeah.
It's not just about resting your feet, it's a chance to soak up the atmosphere, maybe spot something interesting you would have rushed past otherwise.
So turning a necessity, needing a break, into an opportunity to see more. I like that. And what about treating feet like VIPs? What does that involve?
The blog really pushes for a nightly routine, even just a few minutes. A good foot rub with a rich cream can feel amazing after a day on your feet.
Self-massage is okay too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or pack a little travel roller, or even just a tennis ball. Roll it under your foot. And doing simple stretches for your calves, your toes, your ankles regularly can make a big difference in flexibility and reducing strain.
It's all about that consistent care, isn't it? Acknowledging the work they do. I also really like the idea of embracing travel-worn feet. There's something quite nice about that image.
Isn't there, like, dusty sandals after a hike or slightly grubby feet in a park? They're like little badges of honor.
Yeah.
They tell a story, don't they?
Yeah.
A story of freedom, of actually connecting physically with the places you've been.
Totally changes how you see a bit of dust. And finally, this point about self-compassion, that feels really important, especially if you feel like you should be keeping up or doing more.
Exactly. It's giving yourself permission to slow down. It's okay to take a taxi sometimes or use public transport. It's okay to skip that massive flight of stairs if you're not feeling up to it. You don't have to feel guilty.
Right.
The goal is the experience, the enjoyment, not, earning some kind of blister badge of courage.
No medals for blisters. Love it. Okay, so if we were to boil it all down, what are the absolute core messages here about traveling on, well, potentially tired feet?
I think it comes down to a few key things. 1, prioritize foot comfort and health, always, in planning, during the trip. 2, really tune into your body's signals and take those breaks when you need them. 3, make foot care a non-negotiable part of your routine. And maybe the biggest one, appreciate the journey itself. Recognize that even the little aches are part of a really rich experience.
And it's all kind of wrapped up in that perspective the author has, that getting older is a privilege and being able to travel is too.
Exactly. It reframes the challenges. They're not roadblocks. They're just part of the landscape of a meaningful journey.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's about celebrating these feet that carry us around, appreciating, seeing the world step by step. And like the blog says, even those blisters. Maybe they're just souvenirs, little reminders of a life being lived fully.
That's a wonderful way to think about it.
Yeah.
This has been a really insightful deep dive, offering some genuinely practical and quite heartwarming ways to keep that adventurous spirit alive, even when our feet need a bit more attention. All thanks to the wisdom in that Traveling on Tired Feet post.
Which brings us to maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to take away. Think back on a trip you've taken where your feet were, really central to the experience. What story could they tell? But the places you walked, the things you saw, maybe even the discomforts you managed. And now, with some of these ideas about mindful care, how might you approach your next adventure, maybe with a little more appreciation for your feet?
Yeah, and maybe think about how these ideas, like mindful movement, listening to your body, self-care, how they might actually apply beyond travel, just in everyday life, too. Something to ponder. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.